See how a dog managed to surprise everyone and uncover something both important and terrifying. Thanks to the great Tom, as João's loyal dog was called, the two, with incredible courage, managed to unravel a mystery that had been troubling the entire community. Discover each astonishing detail they uncovered below. João had a peaceful routine. Every afternoon, he and Tom, his faithful Labrador, would stroll through the park near their home. It was their favorite time of day. Tom would run happily, and João used the time to relax. But that afternoon, something unusual happened. As they walked along the main trail, Tom suddenly stopped. He stood staring at a tall tree with a sturdy trunk and exposed roots. Without warning, he began barking uncontrollably, tugging hard at his leash. "Calm down, Tom. What's gotten into you?" João asked, confused. Tom wasn't usually like this. He was a calm and obedient dog. Yet there, in front of that tree, he seemed completely different. Restless, as if trying to draw attention to something important. João tugged at the leash, trying to pull him away, but Tom refused to budge. He started digging furiously into the dirt around the base of the tree. "Tom, stop that," João said firmly. But the dog was relentless, determined, as though something was buried there. After much effort, João finally managed to pull Tom away. "That was so strange," he muttered, glancing back at the tree. To João, there was nothing unusual about it, but Tom's behavior left him feeling unsettled. Trying to shake off the odd feeling, he continued their walk. However, João had no idea this was just the beginning of a mystery that would change everything. The next day, their walk followed the same path. Still puzzled by Tom's behavior, João decided to pay closer attention to the dog. As soon as they approached the mysterious tree, there he was again, stopping abruptly, barking uncontrollably, and digging furiously at the dirt around its roots. "Tom, not this again," João said, crouching beside his dog. He examined the base of the tree more closely. The soil looked slightly disturbed, but it could have been just his imagination. Still, Tom's persistent behavior didn't make sense. Could there be an animal hiding there? A squirrel, maybe? This time, João decided to investigate. He grabbed a stick and poked at the ground, brushing aside some of the dirt where Tom was digging. He found nothing, just thick, damp roots mixed with dry leaves. Even so, Tom kept barking and tugging at the leash, as if desperately trying to communicate something. "All right, buddy, you win for today," João said, pulling Tom away more firmly. As they left the tree behind, João couldn't shake the scene from his mind. "Why are you so obsessed with that tree, huh, Tom?" That night, lying in bed, João replayed the details in his mind. It wasn't just Tom's behavior that unsettled him. It was as if there was something more about that tree, something he couldn't quite grasp. Unknowingly, his curiosity began to grow. "Tomorrow, we're getting to the bottom of this," he thought, before drifting off to sleep. What he didn't realize was that this mystery was only just beginning. The next morning, João decided to bring a small shovel on their walk. He needed to put this question to rest. As soon as they neared the tree, Tom repeated his routine, stopping, barking insistently, and starting to dig. João sighed. "All right, partner, let's see what you're so eager to show me." He carefully brushed away the soil. With each layer removed, João's heart pounded faster, but all he found were tangled roots and fragments of leaves. No squirrels or holes. "What's so special here, Tom?" As he inspected the area, something caught his eye. A larger root, partially exposed, stood out from the others. It was smooth and oddly straight, as if it didn't belong to the tree. "This is strange," João murmured, running his fingers over its surface. Suddenly, he heard a noise in the distance. Someone was coming. Quickly, he covered the spot and pulled Tom along. "Let's go, buddy. We'll leave this for another time." Yet, as they walked away, the unsettling feeling of being watched lingered. Something was starting to unfold. In the following days, João couldn't stop thinking about that oddly smooth root. He was certain there was something there, something he hadn't yet uncovered. That afternoon, he decided to return to the park with Tom. This time, he brought a small flashlight in his pocket, along with the shovel. "We're figuring this out, Tom," he said, as the dog wagged his tail enthusiastically, almost as if he understood. When they arrived at the tree, Tom repeated his usual behavior, barking persistently and pawing at the ground. João began digging again around the area where he had seen the root. Working slowly, he cleared the soil and uncovered more of the smooth surface. It wasn't wood. It looked like metal. Before he could investigate further, a loud voice interrupted him. "What are you doing there?" Startled, João turned to see a man in a security uniform. "You can't dig here. This area is protected." João tried to explain. "My dog has been obsessed with this tree. I thought there might be something buried here." But the security guard wasn't interested. "I'm warning you. If I catch you messing around here again, I'll report it." As the man walked away, Tom continued to stare at the tree, growling softly. João felt a chill. Why was this place so protected? And more importantly, what didn't they want him to find? The guard's warning stuck in João's mind. Why such a fuss over an old tree? He wondered, glancing at Tom, who seemed more determined than ever. Something was drawing them back, an unshakable sense that there was more there than met the eye. That night, João made a risky decision. He would return to the park when it was empty. Armed with a flashlight and his shovel, he waited until the area was silent. Tom followed with eager energy, as if he knew they were on the brink of uncovering something big. Back at the tree, João shone his flashlight on the ground and began digging where he had spotted the metallic surface. Adrenaline coursed through him as he worked. Finally, he unearthed a rectangular metal plate, old and covered with dirt and moss. Carefully cleaning it, he noticed symbols etched into the surface, though he couldn't decipher their meaning. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed on the trail. João froze, with the flashlight still on. He quickly turned it off and stayed silent, his heart pounding. Tom crouched next to him, as if he could feel the tension too. "Is someone there?" A deep voice called out in the darkness. João held his breath. He was closer to the truth, but he knew the obstacles were just beginning. What had he found, and why did it seem like someone didn't want him to know? João remained motionless as the footsteps drew closer. He held Tom tightly, trying to calm him. The voice repeated, now nearer, "I know someone's here." Then, a beam of light cut through the darkness, and João was discovered. "There's no need to be scared, kid," said an elderly man with a friendly smile. He wasn't wearing a uniform, but he carried a flashlight and seemed to know exactly where he was going. "You found something, didn't you?" João hesitated but decided to show the metal plate. "I found this buried near the tree. My dog keeps barking here. Do you know what it means?" The man introduced himself as Mr. Martins, a former park employee. He looked at the plate with a glint of recognition in his eyes, as if he knew the object. "Ah, so this is what the old secret was waiting for. That tree isn't ordinary, kid. It was planted many years ago, and they say it guards something important. I'm just not sure what." Martins explained that during his youth, he'd heard rumors about a group of locals who had hidden a precious object in the area where the tree now stood. It was a complicated time, maybe something valuable, or something they wanted to protect. He crouched, examining the disturbed soil more closely. "But it seems your dog has the real nose for these things." João felt an unexpected sense of relief. Finally, someone was willing to help him. Together, they decided to continue investigating, but Martins warned him, "You need to be careful. If the security guards have already seen you here, it means there are people who prefer this secret to stay buried." Tom wagged his tail as if approving the plan. The mystery was far from solved, but João was no longer alone. The next morning, João and Mr. Martins returned to the park, this time with more tools. Martins seemed to know the area like the back of his hand. He pointed to the base of the tree and said, "The old folks used to say the roots were the guardians of the secret. We need to dig deeper." As they worked, Tom stayed alert, growling occasionally as if sensing something. After a few minutes, they uncovered something larger. It was a small chest with iron details and clearly very old. The lock was rusty but still intact. "I knew there was something here," Martins exclaimed, thrilled. João stared at the object, his heart racing. But what could be inside? Before they could try to open it, a noise made them stop. It was the park security guard, accompanied by another man in a suit. "There you are," said the guard, in an authoritative tone. "Drop that. This park is municipal property, and anything found here must be turned over to the authorities." Martin stood up, facing the two men. "This chest has been hidden for decades. You just want to take it away from us to bury the secret again, don't you?" The man in the suit smiled coldly. "Some stories are better left in the past, sir. This park has a lot of history, but not all of it needs to be uncovered." João felt the tension rising. He looked at Tom, who growled softly, as if sensing danger. "What do we do now?" he asked Mr. Martins. "Kid, this decision is yours," Martins replied. "But remember, sometimes uncovering the truth takes courage." João knew the next step would define everything. João looked at the chest, feeling the weight of his decision. Handing it over to the authorities meant losing any chance to uncover the truth. On the other hand, defying the men in front of him could lead to unpredictable consequences. Tom, by his side, remained restless, as if sensing the critical nature of the moment. Martins stood firm. "If they want so badly to hide this, kid, it must be important. Are you willing to let it disappear again?" The man in the suit interrupted. "You don't understand. What's in that chest is dangerous. Not to you, but to the memory of this place. Hand it over, and no one will get hurt." João took a deep breath and made his decision. "I'm not giving it up. Whatever it is, people have the right to know." Before they could react, he grabbed the chest and ran, with Tom dashing alongside him. Martins, surprisingly agile for his age, followed close behind. The chase was intense. The security guard and the man in the suit shouted, but João didn't look back. "Come on, Tom, just a little farther." He knew he needed a safe place to figure out his next move. Finally, they hid behind a dense row of bushes. Martins arrived moments later, breathless. "You were brave, kid, but now you need to be smart. If they catch us, they'll take everything." João nodded, looking at the chest. "What if what's inside is more than we imagined? I need to open this." He knew that once he did, there would be no turning back. Whatever was inside that chest would change everything. As Tom kept his ears alert, guarding their small hideout, João examined the chest with the flashlight in hand. The rusty lock seemed fragile, but Martins had a small pocket knife, which they used as an improvised tool. While João worked on opening it, Tom stayed vigilant, growling softly at every distant sound. "I got it!" João exclaimed, his heart racing. The lid creaked as he opened it, revealing a small wooden box inside, filled with old papers and a cloth-wrapped object. Martins picked up one of the papers and began reading. This is a historical document. It looks like minutes detailing an important negotiation that took place here nearly a century ago." João carefully unwrapped the cloth and found a golden medallion engraved with a strange symbol. Could this be the reason for all the secrecy? Martins nodded. It might be more than just historically valuable. It could hold cultural or even political significance, something someone wanted to hide at all costs. Before they could analyze it further, heavy footsteps echoed nearby. The security guard and the man in the suit were close. "Quick, hide what you found," Martins whispered. João stuffed the papers and medallion into his pocket, but it was too late. The two men appeared in front of them. "Hand it over now," the man in the suit ordered, pointing directly at João. "Why is this so important to you?" João asked, trying to buy time. Because there are secrets that should never be revealed, kid. That medallion is the key to something that could change everything. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands. Tom started barking loudly, drawing attention. Before João could react, Martin stepped between him and the men. "Run! I'll hold them off." João hesitated, but knew Martins was giving him a chance to escape. With Tom by his side, he dashed down the nearest trail, clutching the medallion and documents tightly. The confrontation was far from over, but João felt he was getting closer to uncovering the whole truth. João and Tom ran for minutes without looking back until they reached a more secluded part of the park. Fatigue began to weigh on them, but adrenaline still coursed through João. He felt the weight of the medallion and papers in his pocket, as though the future's responsibility now rested in his hands. When they finally stopped to catch their breath, Tom lay down on the ground, panting, while João sat on a bench, his mind racing. By taking the documents and medallion, he had crossed a point of no return. What exactly was going on? Why were the park, the tree, and the chest so significant to those men? "Now we need to understand what this means," João murmured, looking at the golden medallion. The engraved symbol seemed ancient, yet oddly familiar. He thought about all the stories Martins had told him, of secrets from the past and negotiations involving powerful figures. Before he could dive deeper into his thoughts, his phone rang. It was Martins, his voice tense. "They're after you, João. But there's more. The truth is closer than you think. You need to go to the city's old archives. Everything connects there." João felt a chill run down his spine. The city archives? How did Martins know that? "Are you safe for now?" João asked. "Yes, but only for now. You need to go before it's too late. They know you have what they're looking for." With his heart pounding, João knew his journey wasn't over. The medallion and papers were just the beginning of something far greater. He looked at Tom, who stood up and wagged his tail as if he sensed what was coming next. Together, now more united than ever, they prepared for the next step. The secret was within reach, but the truth might be more dangerous than they imagined. João and Tom headed toward the city's old archives, located in the center of town, a grand, weathered building. The city, with its quiet, historic streets, now seemed eerily still, as if anticipating something monumental. With each step, João felt the tension grow. What would he find there? What truths would the papers reveal? Upon arriving at the archive, they were greeted by an elderly staff member. She seemed oddly familiar with Martins, who often referenced the city's ancient secrets. "You were right to come here, João," she said in a soft voice. "This place holds more than you can imagine." She led them to a hidden room at the back of the archive. The walls were lined with dusty books and documents, but at the center stood a large chest resembling the one João had found in the park. The staff member unlocked it with an old key, revealing a collection of sealed documents and a wooden box. This box was left by people who wanted to protect something vital to the city. "The medallion you found is the key to understanding their connection," she explained. She took the medallion from João and placed it on the box. To everyone's surprise, the lid opened on its own. Inside were ancient letters and a map marked with locations João didn't recognize. It was the beginning of a forgotten story involving powerful city families, an old land dispute, and a secret that could change everything. As João and the staff member examined the documents, he realized how deeply the mystery was tied to the city's history. With every new detail revealed, he understood that he was at the center of something far bigger. What seemed like a simple tree in the park was actually the starting point for uncovering secrets that could alter the city's future. With his heart full of questions and a renewed sense of determination, João knew the journey was far from over. But with Tom by his side, he felt stronger than ever. Now, more than ever, he was ready to face whatever lay behind the secret, knowing that the truth, no matter how dangerous, had to be revealed. João and Tom's story had become entwined with the city's history, and they were ready to continue the search. The future was uncertain, But one thing was clear. Together, nothing would stop them from discovering the truth.